they are the most concerned. But it's also that we should advocate strongly for rightful and comprehensive education, not only sexual education, but education that brings a young person into a productive human being for society and for mankind, but also the right to fulfill his own potential, that our society shouldn't deny that. We'll go for one more question. Remy?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. And we just want to recognize and appreciate the fact that UNFPA has taken the bold step to develop and consult us in developing the youth strategy. In there, what we have seen are some of bold decisions that we feel can improve the lives of many of us. Particularly, we are going to, as young people, we are going to make use of one of the key areas in that strategy, and that is youth leadership and participation. And so one of the problems that deter youth leadership to be sustainable is the fact that in the areas where we are in different organizations, we are not strengthened. The support that we get from different partners is usually concentrated on little pockets of projects. So our hope is that this youth strategy will also come with a huge commitment in terms of funding for the participants of this youth strategy in terms of the organizations like for young people. How do we make core funding in these organizations sustainable so that as the strategy comes to an end, the leadership still continues? And one of the recommendations that we have heard from the young people over the days is the creation of a youth fund within UNFPA, a fund that is particularly dedicated to supporting the strategy and the different activities and programs that young people do engage in. I would like to hear from you what you think are some of the steps that UNFPA can take in creating this youth fund, and whether or not there's anything we can do to foster or push for that, either from the area of your partners, like the governments that you work with, or from other private partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very constructive. Let me say this. What you have is a strategy. The implementation is still going to be elaborated. And one of the things that we had talked about for a while, which we did not want to take out of context, was the issue of a youth innovation fund. So that I want you to see the youth strategy as a living document, which and to say that an implementation plan is going to come, and we would consult with you as we go through this. I'm glad that some of you are going to be in Bali, and you might want to talk to some of these things. And again, that enables us to concretize it and take it forward. So a strategy is just as good as the implementation of. If you don't implement it, then it's not what the paper is written on. So we have to continue and make sure that we implement it. And you're going to say something?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, my question is mostly related to what you've already talked about. I think I just wanted to say that usually, maybe just to give a bit of a background, I spent 5 years with UNFPA in Swaziland as a program officer for youth programs. But I think what is interesting for me with all the good strategies and documents and all that is, my question is, how is UNFPA planning to actually take this good strategy and ensure that it's actually implemented at country level? Because from my experience, what was happening was, I was fortunate that I was part of 2 lives of representatives who came at the different times, and they could change the strategy, even though there was a UNFPA global strategy, but they could change the focus areas as they wanted. So for me, I think what is important now to know actually is, how is UNFPA at the global level going to ensure that with the focus on young people, it actually translates to programs at the country office level?
2 things. last year, we decided to have programmatically to deploy our human resource and material resources into a youth cluster and a maternal health cluster. Now, the youth cluster has now produced a youth strategy, and that youth cluster would implement the youth strategy all the way from headquarters down to country level and up. So it will be a plan by country office for what they want to do with youth around the youth strategy, assisted by the regional office, making sure that technically it's sound, and then headquarters will provide resources to make them do what they have to. So we're committed, and I can, whereas Swaziland's youth issues might be different from Zimbabwe, but I think that the broad framework that we've provided would enable each country office to determine what they want to do, and that commitment is
real. I'd like to be gender sensitive and call on our colleague Malkissa. Tu peux partager avec nous ton expérience. Et ensuite je vais te raconte-nous ton histoire. Peut-être que tu nous l'as raconté pendant l'atelier, et puis après je vais te traduire. D'accord?
Pour commencer, bonjour à tous.
Bonjour.
J'ai failli être victime d'un mariage forcé.
I was almost a victim of forced marriage.
Je viens du Niger, dans la région de Niamey.
I am from Niger, Niamey.
Mon père m'a fiancé avec son neveu qui se trouve au Nigeria depuis que j'ai 12 ans, en classe de CM2.
I was betrothed to one of my cousins from Nigeria.
Cette année, ils ont
since I was 12 years.
Je peux continuer? Cette année, ils ont amené leur dot pour dire qu'ils vont célébrer les mariages, alors que cette année, j'ai fait mon bac et mon brevet, disons. Donc pour moi, j'ai fait mon brevet, j'ai été admise à l'écrit et j'avais 14 témoins, j'étais la deuxième de ma classe.
They brought dowry this year to celebrate the marriage, but this year I also graduated from secondary school, and I wanted to join university, but I was prevented because of that arrangement, and I was the second best in my class, with a lot of potential, and I could see coming the threat of a stop and a barrier to accessing to further studies.
Ouais. Elles ont dit qu'elles vont célébrer le mariage le 15 septembre alors que la rentrée c'est le 17 septembre.
So the marriage was planned to be celebrated on the 15th of September, and the back to school day was the 17th of September.
Ouais.
And I look forward to working with you collectively going forward. I think there's so much we can do together, and I believe that we can make change happen in every possible way. So thank you very much.